completely overplanned. So I am going to, there is a link. Kate's going to put a link in the chat for you. And I'm actually going to run this session in a Nearpod lesson. So hi, everyone. I'm Nyree. I will continue introducing myself right now. I'm sharing my screen. I built this website for you with all the resources. So I have it posted right now just so that you can see that you don't have to watch this right now, but here is the presentation in just slide form. We're going to do a Nearpod lesson today. Here is a wakelet of resources. And I mean, like, dig in there when you have time. I just keep throwing everything in there. So think of it as a living resource, because as I evolve, I just keep adding stuff to those. So keep checking back in. You'll get some stuff. And then here's all my contact information as well. So I'm going to click the link to the Nearpod lesson so you can see the your student view while I have the other view here. So let me just put this over here. I am just like many of you where there's 100 people doing lessons in the house. So I'm hoping that this is not going to be super, super slow, but we will work it out. So it should be loading for you as well. Oh, please be faster than this. When it loads, you will be able to just put your name there. So, yay, you can see here, my name is already there. I'm signed in. If your name is not there, you can sign in with your name and click join lesson. And this is our first slide. So if you've never used Nearpod before, on this end, down on my other screen, I am working the teacher view so everyone doesn't have to see all of the answers. Sometimes when I'm teaching a lesson, I do want the students to see that view and that interaction. So today I have student view showing for you. So welcome to the heart of culturally responsive lesson design. Okay. You will notice that your screen will move. I'm controlling it down here at this end. Hi, everyone. My name is Nyree Clark. I'm a curriculum program specialist for the Colton Joint Unified School District in Southern California. So I'm like 50 miles from LA in the heat. So inland, totally inland. This is all my contact information for you. So again, it is on your resource as well. So we'll speed through this. And now I want you to share your voice. So here is a Jamboard. So when you see the blue, you can go ahead and click to open. And when it opens, I have a question for you. So my question is, who's in the room? So part of being culturally responsive is knowing who are the people that you're teaching, who's in the room with you, how are you able to connect with the people that are there. So I'm asking you really quick to share a couple of details I should know about you or your culture. I have an example over here. I'm a female, Black American. My culture has a history of oral communications. Storytelling is how I like to remember facts. So what should I know about you? I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that. Over here on the side, if you haven't used Jamboard before, on the left side, you have your toolbars. So you have underneath the arrow, there is a sticky note. You can click that sticky note and you are able to add your thoughts here. When you add your thoughts, you click save and it will populate for you. So then you can click and drag this idea anywhere you want. I've created this board on this template on more than one board. So if you run out of room on the first page, we can click over to the second page as well. So if you can add, that would be amazing. Let's see, this is page 2, same thing. Just if you need space, you can toggle at the very top. So what should I know about you? Are you all able to? Oh, yay, I have some people adding, yes. So we have a Black female. So now I can start to see, oh, there's another student that is, that will maybe be able to relate to me. Hades grew up in two cultures, one inside the home and one outside the home. So that's very important as an educator for me to understand the teachers that I'm the students that I'm supporting. And if you're a coach, that you are coaching as well. So you can click and drag those anywhere. I'll give a few more minutes for anyone else that would like to add. I have a female. So now I know that in my class, I have two females. I could be very intentional when I am creating content that these ladies are going to be able to see other females in literature in the context that I'm teaching. I have someone Filipino American, African American, white American, Italian, Irish American. Oh, a picture. Thank you for that picture. Gives me an idea of what you look like. Absolutely. So as you are beginning your classes, you're starting to really get to know your students, their levels of culture. If you've read Zaretta Hammond, you know that we have shallow culture, very on the surface level, and then that deep culture, which is our belief systems. And as you are building those learning partnerships with your students, that's what you are starting to uncover and learn about them so that you can better support and facilitate their academic growth. Thank you everyone for adding to the board. I am going to move us on. Thank you so much. Oh, I feel so bad. I feel like there's a few more on there. Okay. Oh, and we have a male. So if this was my classroom, I would know that I have a very female heavy classroom, but I do want to make sure that I make some connections to my male student so that he feels represented and valued in our space as well. Thank you, everyone. So let's talk about distinctions of equity. You'll see here that there's multicultural education, there's social justice, and there's culturally responsive education. And sometimes those get mixed, or there is not a clear distinction between those levels of equity. So I just wanted to share with you, Zaretta Hammond has created some distinctions. And when we're looking at multicultural education, when people are looking at multicultural education, they're looking at diversity. So what's the diversity that we see? It really centers itself on inclusion and being able to see the different people that are in that space. When we look at social justice education, that's all about centering in anti-racist work, also on advocacy, on social awareness. So when you're looking at social justice, you're looking at that avenue. That's the area that you are focused on. But when we are talking culturally responsive teaching, that's where we are looking at how is this student's language, their experiences, their life experiences, their culture, how can I connect that to the content that I'm teaching so that the learning becomes very sticky? The purpose and the focus for cultural responsive teaching is really to increase academic growth for our students. We want to see them learn. And one of the ways that we can do that is by tagging in to the cultures that they know, their life experiences, everything that they already know. Let me connect that old learning, or not old learning, but learning that you already have, to your prior knowledge, to the new learning that I'm teaching you. I can connect both of those together and make new learning very sticky for that student. So when we're looking at multicultural education, it's not shifting you to in academics. When we look at social justice, it's not centered in academic growth, but culturally responsive teaching is centered in academic growth for our students. And that's just one way that we're doing it. Okay, so culturally responsive teaching, what does that look like? When I think of culturally responsive teaching, I really think about it in two lenses as a teacher view. So what is my awareness as a teacher? How am I building that relationship? and partnerships with our students. So it goes beyond knowing your student's name and their favorite color. Like, you want to dig deep to understand their belief systems, to understand what makes them tick, what drives them, what gives them reason, what are they passionate about? How can you tap into that and connect it to your language arts, connect it to the math that you're teaching, connect it to science, and allow our students to bring all of themselves into that space. Also, providing academic rigor for our students. Like, are we challenging all of our students? Research is showing that our Brown students are getting DOK questions 1 and 2. What are we doing to make sure that we are accessing, all of our students have access to 3 and 4? That's just not our high achieving students. That's just not for our GATE students. That's for all of our students, our special ed students, all of our students have that academic capacity. How are we just giving them a little push, a little bit further than where they are? And connecting it to systems. How are we showing them how to code switch? So we had one person that said, I learned how to live in school system as well as your at-home system. There's lots of systems and structures that our students live in, just like we do. How are we teaching our students how to thrive in those different systems? I know personally, I grew up in apartments, and there was a different language and culture in my apartment life than I had when I went to school, even with switching vocabulary. Absolutely. So how are my teachers facilitating that? How am I learning to switch between those two platforms? As well as students. What do our students, how are they feeling? If we are being culturally responsive, how are they reacting to that? So with our students, being able to pull out that existing knowledge, all of our students come into our classes knowing something. When we go back from remote learning and we are face to face, when that happens, all of our students will have had experiences. They will have learned something. It is up to us to figure out what they've learned and connect that experience with our new learning, whatever we want to teach them to push them further, because they're at home, they're learning. Everybody's learning something, right? What are their learning styles? You might have 18 different cultures in your class. How are you going to teach to all of those different learning styles? Well, research also shows that some cultures like to work in individualism, as well as some cultures like to be in collectivism. So some like to work alone, some like to work in groups. How are you allowing both of those learning styles to coexist in your class? As well as critical thinking, making sure that our students not only have the opportunities to have that academic push, but that they know we got them, that I'm going to support you. You can push, you can fail, and it's okay, because I'm going to teach you what to do after that. So that's where those learning partnerships come in, where that student feels safe to take those risks to learn, to thrive, and that they know that their learning isn't a deficit. You're there to help push them along. And within that is that social emotional learning completely embedded in everything that we do, because we are checking in with our students the whole time. And this is what CRT pedagogy looks like. It's going to look different for all of us, because we all bring our own different cultures into that experience, and it layers into what we do with our students. And that's very important for us to remember too. So what's going on in this picture? All right, everyone. I am going to tell you that I love this part of the lesson, and for some reason it does not always work. So I'm going to try it again. I'm going to give you a link to this Wakelet. So let me show you exactly what this looks like. Here is our Wakelet. What do you see? What do you wonder? What I'm going to do, because when I put it in Nearpod, it doesn't work. I am going to invite you to join this Wakelet. So I'm going to copy this link. I'm going to throw it in the chat. Click on that link. I'm going to click on that link too. Let's see. It should open. When this link opens, it's going to allow us to all collaborate in one space. So this way, we can all see the interactions that we're having off of one topic. The Wakelet allows us to take one link that we can quickly share to our parents and to the guardians that are facilitating our students. Let me see if I can go back to this one. I wanted it to open exactly the way it's opening for you. So it's still spinning. So when it's open, it should look like this. What you are going to do is click the green box, edit. So excuse me for looking up at the other monitor. The directions are right here. I'll leave this up after I show you how to do this. I have an image here for you. I want you to tell me, what do you see? What do you wonder in this image? So we're going to click this green button. When you click this green button, when it opens, oh, let's see, it opened. Oh, I think it's because it's me. It's already opening and I created it. When it opens for you, it may ask you to put in your name. Once you put in your name, you'll be able to click that green button. When you click the green button, oh, I see people are in, yay. When you click the green button, it will open like this. You will see these plus signs. So when you click the plus sign, it's going to allow you to add to this Wakelet. So today we can add by text. You're going to click the text box. When you click the text box, you'll have this space to add what I wonder. You can add your wonder, click done, and then we will have all of our answers in this one space with this picture. I also hyperlinked 40 other images for you to use with your students. So I would love to see if we can get some people in to share what they wondered. I do see some people are in this. So again, at the top, you should have that green edit button. Once you hit the green edit button, oh, I see Joanna, thank you. Oh, wonders, is this a child? Okay, so here is our picture. What do you wonder about this picture? Click the green button. When you click the green button, you can add text. When you click the add text box, you may have to scroll. You'll be able to enter. Okay, I'm gonna pop out and give you just a few minutes to add that. Oh, we're not seeing the Wakelet screen? Let's see. I have it. No one sees the screen for Wakelet. What screen are you seeing? Can someone put that in the chat for me?
It's the Nearpod screen.
Is it Nearpod? Why is this not working on Wakelet? Let's see. So this is your screen that you're seeing?
Yeah, we're seeing the Nearpod screen.
Okay.
But they can click the link and go to Wakelet.
Yes, they can. I wonder why it is not showing. I have it in the next tab over. When I did that right now, still the Nearpod screen?
Still the Nearpod.
Okay. All righty. Let me go back to our Nearpod screen then. Okay, so, Joanna, thank you. Joanna said that from the resources, she was able to click into the Nearpod and it opened the other tab. I'm wondering, should I unshare and share again? Well, since we are down to 19 minutes, I'm just going to go ahead and go through what I wanted to show you in that exercise. And thank you for the feedback, everyone, is that was a spark. So in part of our lesson plan here for CRT is how are we sparking our students? So where am I pulling their prior knowledge? What am I finding out that they already know? So one way that you can do that is through Realia, through different images, videos. It could be video clips. It could be art. Anything that allows you to just engage our students and for you to be able to pull that background. So I used an image, and that is what that was to do, is to show you that you could you'd be able to spark some knowledge with just an image. All of the resources that you see here is in that Wakelet, so you don't have to worry about clicking on all the links. The links are there for you. Okay, I have a video that I want us to watch. I'm going to click this device only, and I'm going to see if it is going to allow me to Can you see the video? Or is it still showing you Nearpod?
It's showing us your wallpaper.
Goodness. Okay, we're gonna stop this. Okay, everyone, let's see if I can reshare this and see if it will share correctly. Okay, reshared. Now, are you seeing Tuskegee study?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, okay, let's go. Okay, it should be playing on this device only.
They were told they'd get treated for their bad blood. Instead, hundreds of poor black men became participants unknowingly in a shocking and truly shameful chapter of American medical history. In 1932, the United States Public Health Service launched an unethical research project to examine the effects of untreated syphilis. The project was called the Tuskegee Study because it recruited 600 black men living in Tuskegee, Alabama. Researchers told the men that they were being treated for bad blood, a term used locally to describe anything from fatigue to anemia. They promised the men free medical treatment if they participated. While 2/3 of the men in the study were confirmed to have syphilis, not one received proper treatment for the disease they had contracted.
So this was a study in which there was no consent on the part of those who were being studied, also deception on the part of the U.S. government.
When penicillin became the recommended treatment for syphilis in the 1940s, Tuskegee researchers scandalously withheld the drug from the men in the study so that they could continue to chart the course of the disease when untreated. Many patients experienced damage to their vital organs and nervous systems, and for some, the lack of treatment led to death.
The great shame of the study is that the men thought that they were being treated. Treatment was withheld from them, even after it was very clear what kind of medical treatment would cure them of syphilis.
In 1972, an Associated Press article exposed the Tuskegee study after one of the participants brought the story to a civil rights attorney. Only then, after 40 years, was the study brought to an end. The case was settled out of court for $10 million.
This long history of medical experimentation on African Americans creates a sense of distrust. A distrust of doctors and physicians, a distrust of medical care.
In 1997, President Bill Clinton formally apologized to the victims of the study. The president's apology was a welcome first step, but we still have a long way to go before the legacy of mistrust of science within the Black community is fully overcome.
Okay, everyone, let's see if we can get you on to our next spot. So here, this is a collaborative board, and I have a question for you. How does this video relate to you? How have you seen anything like this before? Does this event impact what is happening in the world right now? What are your thoughts on this? So here at the very bottom in Nearpod, you can type your response in the white box at the bottom. And you can add an image if you'd like, and you can click post. When you click post, it will post for you. And I am going to make sure I hide names. And another way to create a safe space for your students, hide the names in the Nearpod activity, and then they will be able to respond. Okay. Are you all able to see the Nearpod? Now I'm stressed. Okay. I want to make sure we're together. Yay, there we go, there we go. So on my teacher end, I have the blessing of being able to see those student names. They still show up for me, but for you, you're able to just get those remarks, and you'll be able to see. At the very bottom, you'll see that there are those hearts that you can, as you're reading it, you want a +1, amen to that, I agree with this. You can click through there, and then that's another way that students can give feedback to each other as they are processing that information. So we have outrage, concerns, angry. This is another place where you can make connections for your students. So could that Tuskegee experiment have anything to do with people's lack of wanting to get vaccinated right now? Is that an issue with maybe the African American community? Are those connections, allowing our students to see those different layers, those different levels, and how those decisions are impacting, or how those events have impacted decisions that are being made right now. The power in all teaching is in the connections, right? So being able to make connections across all the content areas, different disciplines, as well as those cultural contexts, so that students will understand and start to have empathy with each other as they are learning these different topics and different areas. Oh, it won't let you type, Claudia. I'm so sorry. I'm afraid even if you refresh, if it's going to take you out. Type it in the chat. If you're unable to get it, type it in the chat so we can get it from there. But the box is at the very bottom, just in case we've missed that. Okay, so thank you for sharing to this. Yes, very understandable. I know that my mother got vaccinated. My father, not having it, not going to do it. So it's a real thing, and very concerned for anyone else that does it. So that medical mistrust in the Black community is earned, but now how do we move from there? So that's right. Absolutely. This, your discussion, I don't even want to change this. I'm so sorry. We have to move over. Okay. Oh, thank you, Claudia. Did you want to, Claudia, could you type your response in our chat, and then we can still learn from you. So in that activity, that is an activity that centers itself on support. How can we support our students in their knowledge? So in the support area, this is where we are connecting skills and also their intellectualism as students. In the first one with a Spark, that's a great place to foster identity for our students. That would be a nice place to layer in those social justice standards. Where are the students' identity? How are we showing their diversity, giving them a place to amplify their justice and advocacy for others, as well as move to action. We teach students lots of things, but are we also allowing them to act and to show how they can stand up for each other? So move to action. Support is another place where I also think of in lesson planning, where if you are a GATE teacher, or you have actually any teacher has learned those prompts of depth and complexity, this is a great place to embed those prompts, because that depth and complexity prompts adds critical thinking layers to our students. So if you haven't heard of them, they are little icons that will associate with the critical thinking skill. So there may be a picture of glasses. When students see those glasses, it tells them we're looking at multiple perspectives. That means my brain needs to think in different points of view. So there is a picture that's assigned to different, like on the screen, there's those pictures are assigned to the critical thinking skill. So ethics, we talked about that question I just asked you was an ethical question. Is it right? Is it wrong? So you, with both of those critical thinking skills, you're now layering that cognition with your students and supporting them in the materials that they're teaching. So it takes our content standards and makes it even deeper and more complex. All right, so here is a here is a collaborative Google slideshow. So there is, there should be, I think I might have put 10, but if you go to the top, you can add. What I want you to think about right now is, what does Black history mean to you? I would like you to add a picture and one word. So I've given you a couple of examples, but I would love you to jump on one of those that's there. If you need to add one, you can add one. But I would love an image and just one word. What does Black history mean to you? Thank you, Kelly and Jenna, for adding into the chat. Definitely medical mistrust makes it hard to control the pandemic if you have people that are afraid of the science that we have now. And Jenna, the medical testing happening with disabled community. Absolutely. Opportunities to learn and teach. Yes. Thank you, Kim. So I see a few people adding to this. So in our collaborative slideshow, you will see that there are two of those pictures. I have language of the discipline and I have multiple perspectives. So multiple perspectives allows us to see different people's experiences and their viewpoints. So for this slideshow, if you can add one picture, I probably should have wrote this on the directions, add one picture that signifies what Black history means to you and one word. So in this picture that you see here, there's a picture of a person and then the word is dignity. So what does Black history mean to you? An image and one picture. As you are writing those words, our students are learning language of the discipline. They're learning all of these different words. So you're going to have one slideshow that you can go back to that's on vocabulary and on affirmation of a culture. So we have dignity, we have beautiful, we have excellence, we have powerful. These are all vocabulary words that you can go back with your students and have that discussion. You can add tier 2, tier 3 vocabulary on top of that. Maybe you put in some words that will help to support or differentiate some of the words. So allow your students to add in what they want, and then you can add in some vocabulary words if you want to push them further to differentiate. Multiple perspectives, again, lets us see different viewpoints. So every student is being able to pull from their experiences to show you what that means to them. So it's going to look a little different. And then our students can have that conversation as well. So I'll give you just a few more seconds. Perseverance. We have undefeated. We have rich. And in just one slideshow, we have vocabulary as well as images. And look at all these images of power, of affirmation, of strength. So we are not seeing images of that are challenging or that are negative. We are looking at images that are uplifting and affirming innovation. So again, showing value to our students that are in our classroom. Thank you so much for adding to this. This is wonderful. So again, we just were able to tackle language. So we've added some vocabulary and language that you could differentiate, level it up, or to support your different learners in your classroom, as well as multiple perspectives, allowing all of our students to bring their experiences into this learning. So powerful. Thank you, everyone. The hardest thing is moving on. So what we were doing there is synthesizing. So being able to synthesize our thoughts. How are we allowing our students to process their learning? What are the cognitive skills that critical thinking skills and cognitive skills that they're working on? That could be a routine that is done in different subject areas. So you could do that in science, you can do that in language arts, you can do that in history and social studies. The act or the protocol stays the same, but the content will change. Yes, cognitive routines. Thank you. Thank you, Connie. Cognitive routines. If you've read that in Zaretta Hammond, she talks about cognitive routines. All the CRT research shows that we need to give students repeated exposures to practicing those skills that we're teaching them. And again, if we have them working in DOK3, DOK4, that's where they're practicing those higher levels. So compare and contrast. How are they able to synthesize, show judgment in what they're doing, and giving them repeated opportunities to do that learning? Absolutely. Cognitive routines are what it helps to grow our brains and grows more of those wrinkles in the brain. And I love in one of in Zaretta's book, there is a quote that says, "The brain is the only place that it's good to have a lot of wrinkles." So I love that thought. Okay, so here is a wonderful opportunity just to give you an idea of another way that you can have personal conversations with your students, especially in remote time. A lot of times the kids don't have a way to talk to you personally without, they're in the house, they're with everyone. This gives them an opportunity to have a conversation with you that's private. In Flipgrid, which is an EdTech tool, if you haven't heard of it, in Flipgrid, you are able to create topics that are moderated. And moderated means it only goes to you. It's not posted to everyone. So you can have those private conversations with our students. This gives them a way to ask you questions or talk to you and build that safety and the learning partnership where they still have access to ask those questions that they may have asked you at recess or at lunchtime. They can't do that remotely when they're at home. So creating a place like this, a topic that allows them to just speak to you is a great idea. I've seen it in our school district. There's teachers that are using this and they have said it really helps in fostering that relationship and building it because the students know that they are still a resource that they can talk to. So this is one way of creating that space for your students. And within that, part of culturally responsive teaching is also being able to share. So again, in Flipgrid, they're able to share in that way. In Wakelet, we're able to share in Wakelet. Imagine if we were all able to get into that Wakelet and post all of our thoughts and feelings. We can take that one link and send it to our parents. We can send it to our administrators. We could send it to another class that we may collaborate with. But how are we providing opportunities for our students to share their learning? That's so heavily embedded in it. PBL projects do an amazing job of that. When you do PBL, independent projects, our students are able to process that information, but they need an outlet to share it. Because when kids know that they're going to have to share what they're doing, they take their learning, they have a deeper sense of agency about what they're doing. If they have to just share it with their teacher, they love you like a parent. Sometimes it's not as good as if they're going to have to share it with X, Y, and Z, or even with each other. So just allowing them that opportunity to share even with their community allows our students to have that deeper sense of self-agency in their learning. They can do it in multiple ways. Doesn't have to just be a Flipgrid. It could be where our district is having like a talent show. So student showcases could be a way to do it. In learning, going outside of your classroom to let them share it with senior citizen, those communities, those convalescent homes. We had a convalescent home across across the street from the elementary school I worked at, and they loved when students would come sing to them or just come teach them something that the students wanted to come teach them something. So having those partnerships, allowing the community to come into your classroom, so our students can see themselves as real people in the world that they're in. That they are vital, and that even as a kindergartner, that they're important. As a 11th grader, they're important, that their role and their existence really matters. Okay, so we are, I am just one person. We are in a collection of 31. I just saw that that little tab. There's 31 of us in here, which makes us better together. So in being better together, I created this Padlet with all of the different areas that we've just gone over: how we can spark, how we can support, how we can synthesize, and how we can share. I would love you to take a few minutes and just share what you do in any of those areas. You're going to see things already there because I'm using the same Padlet to share with everyone that I'm able to do a session with, so we can all crowdsource all of the wonderful strategies that you guys are doing. So this is another place. Come back and look at this Padlet as more people add to it. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to add. On the Padlet, it's set up in shelves. So at the very bottom, you'll see a plus sign. When you click on the plus sign, it's going to open. You can add a title, or you can just start typing. Here underneath it, you add a title. At the bottom, you type what you want to share. You can add a link. You can bring in resources if you have if you want to upload from the device that you're on. But this is where you can add to this Padlet. So you can see that there's some things there, but if you could take a few minutes to add, that would be amazing. The Padlet is embedded in the Nearpod, and it is also linked in the Wakelet. If you happen to have the Wakelet open, the Padlet is in there as well. So I see some coming in. And thank you so much for sharing. I'm going to let you finish your last thought before I move us over. Great job in supports, lots of sparks, tons of ways to share and synthesize. I think I'm going to add some things to that Padlet. Okay. I'm going to move us over. Oh, thank you so much. So this is the end of our presentation. Thank you so much. If you weren't able, if I moved you and you were in the middle of your Padlet, your Padlet share, I'm so sorry for that. Again, we can share, you can still share on the Padlet within the Wakelet. This is ways to connect. I'm going to unshare this because I want to see everyone. Okay. So thank you so much. What I want to leave you with is we are all teachers. Well, many of us are educators. We're teacher librarians. We are in this world of education together to help our students to move forward. So I want to bring you something that I just learned about. So I was able to see Goldie Muhammad on a webinar, and she left me with some powerful questions. So here's some questions for you to ask yourself as you are building out and thinking about your CRT lessons. What is your purpose for the lesson? How will your lesson help students or others? How will this lesson help the child learn something new? How will this lesson make it impossible for the child to fail, for your students to fail? How are you making family connections? How will you, as an educator, how will you change as a result of teaching this lesson? And most importantly, the part I'm going to try to say this without crying, how does this lesson bring joy to the students in your class? How do those students feel the joy? How do they feel seeing themselves empowered? Are we doing that for every child in our classroom? And how can we do that for our students? That was just a mic drop moment for me. So I have included all of this in the Wakelets for you. For you to have that information. There's more to that list, but those are just some that I wanted you to think about as you're building out those lessons. Being culturally responsive is not a list of strategies. It's not a worksheet I can create for you or anyone else. It is a mindset. It is your pedagogy. It is how you start to see what you can do to value all those students in the room and allow them to bring themselves into that learning space and fly. So that's me, everybody. Thank you so much for being here with me, and I will take any questions. I think we have like three whole minutes. So,
Free to unmute and ask questions. And then I do want Nyree to just point out there's tons and tons of accolades about you and your work and what you're doing for our collective students. Thank you so much for that.
oh, you are so welcome. Thanks, everyone. I'm so thankful that Kate was here to man the chat. Oh, thank you, Melanie, for that baby. Oh, I love being with her. I don't think there's any questions. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. Connect with me. Like I'm always learning. I'm researching. I'm always trying to find better ways to assist my coach. I'm a coach right now, so how can I assist the teachers I support as well as the students when I get to go into those classrooms? You know, that's like the heartstrings. That's what we're passionate about. And double down with being able to actually find literature. Don't you dare match a book and make some child happy. Like, oh, I love it. I love it. So trying to be in all those spaces and all those areas. So thank you, Kim. Any other questions? You guys are inspiring to me. I appreciate your share. It is that Padlet is just going to keep growing. And oh, that baby, she's so happy. We are going to make sure that we provide you a wonderful education, Melanie's little baby. You are going to love school when you get there. Oh, thank you, Sharon. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for being here. I know it's a middle of the day for you. So anything, we will work out that wonderful Wakelet situation and figure out how to get everybody in there. But outside of that, you guys did awesome.
There's a few questions about your Wakelet of Awesome. So that Wakelet has already been added to the CSLA Equity Wakelet. So it's all right there for you to get. And as we do more equity work too, add to that, please, because that's how we best grow working together here and sharing resources.
Absolutely. I have some lesson plans that Dr. Muhammad shared. So I'll stick all of that. I just didn't have time to get to it. But yeah, so keep those links to those Wakelets because I just keep adding. I keep adding to it. So it should be pretty meaty for us all.
Awesome. Thank you again so much, Nyree. Enjoy, guys. I have time for exclusive exhibitor time and any break you need. There's a step challenge and all of that going on too. Thank you so much for being here again. Nyree, thank you for your wisdom and your heart.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for everyone being here. Bye.